Many have often pondered what makes a true doctor. On the surface, medicine is a demonstration of the professional instinct. But at its heart, it is an expression of all that man is capable of. The monumental spirit to stand in selfless offering. This is a story of a man who has done everything, but after a long journey, still finds himself at the beginning of yet another. Of men in pursuit of their own reasons for living. What they have is significant. What they don't is what truly matters. The triumph of the human spirit. A man seeking for answers in his own quest for truth. Upholding the dignity of labor inculcated by his father. A heart in love, and in the search of it. The love of a profession that became his greatest love affair. This is Dr. Abarquez. The vision and character of the man. At the heart of what has driven his illustrious career. The dreams, all that his heart can hold. A symbol of possibility we now behold. This is a special presentation of the Philippine Heart Association in cooperation with Servier Philippines Incorporated. The soldier in Monching was inevitable. The conquering spirit that was to arm him captured his searching heart and embraced the unconquerable. Instilled as early as age 5, Monching always insisted that his eggs be served with the yolk fully intact, a questioning persistence not lost, but one from which motivation is found. Now, one of the world's widely acclaimed physicians of our generation, the spectacle of the heart changing history, the grand romantic love affair of a visionary in search of the insatiable. This is Dr. Abarquez, a man in love, a man who loved deeply, profoundly, passionately. It is this type of unsung action that gives cardiology insightful meaning and renewed hope to medical history, to a country's heritage, and to a man's legacy. The vivacity to realize the most improbable of dreams, of men fighting on instinct, of men celebrating all that is possible. Unrelenting in his pursuit for answers, Monching conquered his own apprehensions and dared against the eminent tides of accepted thinking, and on the ebb-flow downstream, challenged these conventions with his gift of evidence, his astounding breadth of knowledge, but perhaps none greater than the emotional shift to be dynamic, like the workings of the heart, coming back full circle, ready to start the cycle all over again, the lifeblood of what Monching believes in and strives for, in a never-ending mission at heart. For Monching, medicine is not an ABC alphabet. Medicine in its purest of forms is a compassionate art. It's science analytical, where data elected as myths or fallacies can be misleading, where mists of unclear postulates loom with uncertainty, and evidence totally missed as virtual relevant facts. Eminence or evidence-based science. This is Monching, a man ahead of his time. While careers can last decades, legacies are generated by just a handful of nights over that span of time. Early during his fellowship in New York, young Monching challenged a prevailing myth and turned a missed opportunity into a methodological reality. During the 1960s, ischemic ECG changes were detected only before and after a master's two-step exercise test. For the first time in medical history, the Abarquez et al. Electrode technique permitted ECG recording during activity. 16 years later, the two most important contributions to exercise ECG methodology was published. Since then and today, ECG ischemic diagnosis is based during exercise. The research merited the Cultural Heritage Award given by the Philippine government in 1963 as the most important contribution to science. Monching's love of the elusive digitalis blossomed after 3 decades later, since his pioneering hypothesis of its BP-lowering efficacy in 1967, an innovative first clinical concept as multi-therapy in hypertension management, reaffirming and validating its role as the old but reliable, challenging existing guidelines, backtracking persisting thresholds, shifting recommendations 20 years later to slow onset cutoff, pioneering AMI management. 31 years later and today, thrombolysis is now standard prescription. Hypertension management with add-on digitalis. Blunting entropy 7 years later. The first metabolic agent in acute myocardial infarction. Findings confirmed in a landmark trial 7 years later. A novel bedside screening tool, raising microcirculation integrity and improving long-term outcomes years later. In an illustrious career that spans nearly 6 decades, Monching still finds himself pondering the human condition, chasing myths, clearing clouds of mists looming. Whatever he finds missing is yet another story. This is Dr. Abarquez, of a career esteemed so rarely, a passion driven so profoundly, facets of a priceless legacy treasured ever so deeply, a gem in cardiology. The Philippine Heart Association, in cooperation with Servier Philippines Incorporated, proudly present, in honor of one of its most esteemed fellows, Golden Heart Awardee, Professor Emeritus, the first Ramon Fabella Abarquez Jr. Professorial Lecture.